The first big expedition I ever done was to Patagonia. And we were three friends, inseparable, that were absolutely crazy about Land Rovers. And I didn't have the sponsorship from Land Rover yet. And Milton in Kiko. Kiko today has the dealership of Land Rover in Brazil, one of the biggest in the world, in Rio de Janeiro. And Milton still works with Land Rovers till now. Milton had purchased a Land Rover 1969 six-cylinder gasoline with the back was a house. There was three people could sleep. You had a kitchen. You had all of the. It was a little mini house. We called it Little House, but it was with the British side of steering. So we did the first expedition to Patagonia with that Land Rover, steering on the wrong side of the road of the car, and so that two people had to be always in front, one sleeping on the back and one in front helping overtakes and other things because you're driving on the wrong side of the road. Anyway, I fell in love with Patagonia, and many years later, there was a friend of mine that introduced me to a guy that had an enormous piece of land in Lago Argentino. Lago Argentino is where Calafate is. Lago Argentino is about 110 kilometers long. Calafate is in the south shore and a lot of different places. The north shore, pretty much the whole thing belonged to this one guy. And he wanted to monetize that. So he asked me my advice, and I was already involved in finance. So I went during a few years, many times to design the project. I won't get into details of that. What I want to tell you is that one day it was the weekend climbing. There was two cliffs, one about 1 kilometer high and one about 500 meters high. And usually, it was 90 degrees like this. And though you climb that, you can't do this in one day. So you climb, and then you anchor yourself, you sleep hanging, and then next day you continue, and then next day 3 days, 2 nights. The first morning, actually 2 mornings, I woke up and I look up, it was a lot of birds flying over my head. I took a picture, or a few, and I was very intrigued because they looked like vultures, but they were not, and I don't know birds that well. So I sent it to Fauna and Flora International, to some friends in England. And it came back a little note saying, what animal did you kill to get so many birds over you? And then to which I responded, please give it to somebody that really understands about birds and doesn't just push paper all day long. And a few days later, a small paragraph saying, where did you take this picture? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I said, long story short, some researchers came and they concluded that I had discovered a safe haven for condors, Indian condors. At the time, there were like 2,000 Indian condors estimated in the world. And they estimated, the scientists, that there would be between 300 and 250 condors living and nesting on that area, which is very different from condors' behavior anyway. And that was a real discovery. So we all agreed we would create a reserve for the condors, and we raised some money and helped to conserve the condors. Still there. I never told people where it is because this is roughly a direction, but very far from. You cannot find it if you want to look for it, right, with the information I just gave you. But we called it the condominium because they just live there and they are in peace. Nobody gets to this farm. It's a huge blocks, and it's really not very friendly to come into the farm. 100 kilometers out of the condors, entering the road to get to the condors, you have you have a big gate with a lock, and then you have three signs. One is a human figure with a very mean face, saying, you read, in a small dog, and you read, "Never mind the dog, be aware of the owner." First sign. Second sign, a handgun with smoke coming out of the barrel. And you read, "Invaders will be shot." The third sign is a shotgun with two barrels, smoking the two barrels, and you read, "Survivors will be shot twice." So the condors are quite protected, nobody gets there, and they are just thriving now. It was a very interesting piece of time I spent there.